all have that little voice in our head. You know, the one that tells you you're not good enough, questions your every move and magnifies every mistake you've ever made. I like to call them mind monkeys, and if you let them, they'll swing from thought to thought, creating absolute chaos and leaving you paralysed with self-doubt. But here's the good news, you don't have to let them run the show. In this blog, we'll explore why those mind monkeys exist, how to recognise them for the chatter that it actually is, and most importantly, how to quiet them so you can reclaim your confidence. I'm Churchill, and if we're meeting for the first time, I'm on a mission to help women grow from self-doubt to self-confidence so they can take their career to the next level. So why do those mind monkeys exist? Well, they're born out of survival instincts. Our brains are hardwired to look for threats, but of course in modern day, those threats are very rarely life or death. Instead, they show up as perceived failures, rejections, or criticisms. Negative thinking often stems from societal pressures, previous experiences, or good old perfectionism. And over time, this inner critic becomes a habit, a default we don't even think about. And think of it this way, your mind monkeys are doing nothing more than trying to protect you. It's just that they're using outdated strategies. They're working overtime to keep you inside your comfort zone because it feels safe for them. But much like how the night sky is often overcast by clouds, the stars are still shining even when we can't see them, and these mind monkeys are just obscuring your brilliance as well in the same way. So all you have to remember is, just because you can't see the stars doesn't mean they're not shining, and just because those mind monkeys are running amok, it doesn't mean your brilliant ideas aren't there either. But if you do let them run the show, the result is self-doubt, dreams on hold, doubting your abilities, and second-guessing your decisions, and that's no good. So what do? Well, number one, we recognise the chatter. The first step to silencing those mind monkeys is to be aware that they're there. So start paying attention to your thoughts, especially in moments of self-doubt. Do you hear a critical voice saying, "You'll never be able to do that"? Does your inner critic replay worst-case scenarios on a loop? Or are you constantly comparing yourself to other people? Write these thoughts down as they come up. Seeing them on paper can help you separate those thoughts from yourself. You can start to recognise what it is. It's just white noise. But much like focusing in on a signal from a distant star, it takes absolute attention and focus to hear these thoughts when you first start to do it. But once you do notice them, you'll start to recognise as soon as those triggers happen, and you'll be able to shift your attention to brighter, happier thoughts, more positive thinking. So once you're aware of it, step 2 is to call it out. Imagine they're like an unruly toddler trying to interrupt you when you're trying to focus on something. You wouldn't let a child take over your day, so why are you letting the mind monkeys? Give the voice a name or a personality. Maybe it's a negative Nelly or a doubtful Dan. By giving it a label, you're taking away its power. You're separating it away from who you are. Once you create distance between negative Nelly or doubtful Dan and yourself, it's much easier to tell it to shut up. It's not part of you anymore, it's something external. So for example, when your mind monkeys or negative Nelly is saying, "You'll fail if you try," you can respond with, "Thanks for that, but I've got this." If it whispers, "You're not good enough," your response is, "But look how much I've achieved already. Of course I'm ready for this. I can do this." You can separate yourself from the voices. And you can think about it as recalibrating your own GPS. If your mind monkeys are pointing you towards fear, you can recalibrate and point towards your ambition and your goals. So step 3 is to talk back with positivity. Mind monkeys thrive on negativity, so flood them out with positive thinking. Positive language especially is really, really important. Replace their chatter with truths or affirmations about yourself. Here's some for you. I am capable and resilient. I deserve success and happiness. Mistakes are part of growth, not evidence of failure. It might feel a bit weird at first, but over time, you're retraining your brain to be in the positive side of life rather than the negative. It's so empowering. Imagine these affirmations as stardust, tiny, tiny particles creating this massive galaxy of positivity in your brain. The self-belief has to grow from there. And number 4 is to take action. The best way to silence those mind monkeys is to prove them wrong by taking the action. If tasks feel big, break them down into smaller steps. I want you to celebrate every achievement. It doesn't matter big or small. Celebrate. And surround yourself with people who lift you up and celebrate those strengths. When you take action despite the chatter, you'll start to see that those mind monkeys were exaggerating all along. The more you challenge them, the quieter they'll come, honestly. And think of each of those steps throughout that journey as another move into the cosmos. The further away you come from those voices, the more distance they will be, and they'll go quieter and quieter until you can't even hear them. And finally, I want you to remember self-compassion. Everybody has those mind monkeys. Everybody has those mind monkeys, no matter how successful they are. So please remember, you're not alone. Having negative thoughts doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Be kind to yourself and remember when those voices get really loud, that it's okay to struggle, but you've got those strategies now in your back pocket to make them go quiet. Put those mind monkeys in their cage. It won't be perfect overnight, but remember the universe doesn't judge a star for flickering, so it's okay to have those moments of self-doubt. You've just got to use these strategies now to pull yourself back up. Appreciate the light a star is giving off, perfect or not, and give yourself the same compassion. So in conclusion, mind monkeys are always going to be part of your mental landscape, the same as they're always going to be part of my mental landscape. We all have them, but they don't have to rule our lives. By recognising the chatter for what it is, calling it out, talking back to it with positivity, and taking those small actions to prove them wrong, we can reclaim our confidence and we can move forward towards those big goals that we've got. So the next time you hear that little voice in your head saying you can't, remember this: you can and you absolutely will. You've got this. And if your mind monkeys are keeping you stuck ahead of a next presentation, interview or meeting that you've got, I've got a free download just for you. It's actually called Nail Your Next Big Interview, Presentation or Meeting, and it gives you 8 strategies to deal with those mind monkeys in the weeks, days and hours before that big meeting, interview, whatever it is that you've got going on. There's a link to that right below this video, so please go ahead and download that now. As ever, I appreciate your feedback. It helps me to bring the stuff you're looking for, and it helps other people to find my stuff as well. So any comments or questions, please leave them down below. Thumbs up is always appreciated. And of course, for more like this, please subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, remember you're amazing. Go and download that free guide, and you have an amazing week.